Hi everyone, today we're going to walk you through indexing on Family Search. So first of all, go to familysearch.org. If you don't have an account, you can create one here. If you do have an account, go ahead and sign in. You'll see up along the top left-hand side, you can click on Indexing. So go ahead and click on Indexing, and you'll see in the drop-down, we want to click on Web Indexing. There's a practice intro batch, if this is your first time, called Guided Tour. You can go back and look at the guided tour anytime or as often as you want from the overview page, but for now we're going to look at the guided tour by clicking on Open Batch.
So once the guided tour opens, you'll be presented with this screen which says, "Welcome to the Family Search Indexing Guided Tour. Try indexing a batch with hints provided for each step of the way. About this tour, this practice data will not be saved. It's just a practice to give you an opportunity to review the process and to get comfortable with it. Use the Tab or Enter key, not the mouse, to move to the next field. This way the system will give feedback about your answer. So if it's not put in correctly, the system will let you know. When you get into doing regular batches, you can use Tab or Enter or the mouse to go between fields." So let's click on Start the Tour to view the project instructions and get started. So first thing we always need to do when we get a new project is to review these project instructions. So for this test batch, this sample batch, it says, in this example, you will index a World War II draft registration card from the United States state of Georgia. As we index, we focus on recording the names, dates, and places given in the documents because this information is the most helpful when people are searching for their ancestors. And every batch that you index, they will have a sample image, and you can click on that sample image to actually see a type of index or an image you're going to be indexing. So we'll go back to the instructions and continue to scroll down. That was an example of the World War II draft registration card. Then it talks about definitions. First is project. A project is a collection of historical records from the same place and time grouped together for indexing. When you go indexing, you'll choose a project to index from. Then they will give you a batch. The batch contains one or more images of historical documents that can be indexed in 20 to 30 minutes. There are also quick batches, which are generally one image, and they go much quicker if you don't have a lot of time. Lastly is a record. A record includes all information on a historical document about an event or individual. So for this sample batch, this is the extent of the project instructions. Always read these first because it tells you what we're to be doing and gives you great information. Once you click out of it with the X, you can always get it back again by clicking this little box here with the eye icon. So you can reread it again if you get stuck during your batch. So on this screen, it shows the document we're going to be indexing. So let's zoom in on that a little bit just to make it a little bit easier to read. And step 1 is highlighted here. So it says here, examine the image, which is step 1. Your first step is to determine whether this image should be indexed. Usually the answer is yes. Is this a draft registration card as mentioned in the project instructions? If so, leave the answer as yes and click Next. So if it wasn't, we could say no extractable data. And there's a note here as well. Underlined words show definitions when you hover your mouse over them. For example, up here it says should be indexed, and it actually refers back to the project instructions found in the help menu if you're not sure. So we feel confident this is a draft registration card, as it actually says on the top, registration card, and it looks just like the example they showed us. So we'll click on yes, and then next. Step 2, index information from the image as instructed on each field. click the question mark in the little purple circle for help with this field. So the first step is type the individual's given names. Once again, there's underlines here so we can hover over those to see what they say. A field is a place in the data entry area to index one piece of information from the image. And on names, or given names include both first and middle names. So, in our document we're indexing, it shows the first name here as Holmes, the middle name as Quincy. So we'll add that over here in the given names box. Then we press the Tab key, which is on the left side of your keyboard, to move on to the next field. In this step it says, type what you see. The most basic indexing rule is to type what you see. Enter the surname. Again, press Tab to continue. So the surname is located here as the last name, which is Miller. So we'll enter the name Miller. Then use the Tab key again to move to the next field. Place of residence. Enter the requested information in each place, or in each place of residence field. So you'll see there's 3 different residence areas, or fields, for the town, county, and state. So let's look at the record again and see what we have. So the residence town, it shows here as their town, township, village, or city as Savannah. So we'll enter Savannah in this first residence town. Tab to the next field, which is the county. So enter the county as shown, back to the field or the form. And it shows the county as Chatham. So now we'll enter Chatham here. And tab to the next field, and that's for the residence state. So enter the abbreviated state as written, GA without the period. Now one important note here, and let's go ahead and look at this question mark to see what they say about the state. So for the residence state, it says type the residence state that was printed, that was recorded. Do not correct spelling or expand abbreviations. Do not index punctuation except hyphens and apostrophes when they were written as part of the place name. Occasionally, the residence town, county, and state were written out of order. Be careful to index the places of residence in the correct fields. If the state was not recorded or was written as a variation of the word unknown, press Tab to skip this field. So we'll close that, and the residence state as shown was here, GA for Georgia. Once again, there's a period, but it said don't index the punctuation, so we won't put that in there. So just GA. Then we tab to the next field. So now we're looking for the date of birth. And it says in the box, some fields use a drop-down list. Click in the field to select an available option, or type JUL to select the month. So we look on our record and it shows the age in years is 41, date of birth, the month is July. So if we select the drop-down menu, we can just click on July and tab to the next field. The birthday is here, it's the 17th. So we'll type in 17 and tab to the next field. And the birth year is 1900. So let's enter 1900 in that field, 1900. And tab again to go down to the birth, town, or county. And that's located here in this box. So the place of birth, town, is Spencer. Let's put in Spencer. Tab to the state or country, which is listed as, or here's state or country, North Carolina. So put in North Carolina. And then tab to go to the bottom fields. Now, if there was another entry on this form for another person, we would create a second entry, but there's only the one for Holmes Quincy Miller. So now we go ahead and submit our batch. Every time you submit a batch, it does a quality check. So it checks for any missing fields because those with an asterisk like these have to be filled in. If they're blank with no notation that they were left blank on the form, or on the form you're indexing, then it would let us know. No issues were found in this, so it says, would you like to submit your batch now? And we will submit our batch. And there we have our test drive is done. Great job.
Okay, so now we've done that, which is great. We're going to return to web indexing. So this is the web indexing page. This is the main page you will go to when you click on web indexing to select a batch. You can explore the rest of this page later. You'll see there's other things that you can look at here. But we are going to focus on the doing batches for now. So click on Find Batches. Let's see what we have. So as you're just learning how to do this, you want to make sure that for difficulty level, you always at this point click on Beginning. When you feel more comfortable with indexing and you don't feel these are challenging, you can move on to the intermediate or the advanced levels, but there's plenty of records always available in the beginning level. The next one down shows this point the language is set to English. You'll see in the drop down box there's so many other languages to choose from. If you are fluent in any other language, you can choose that language. That would be a great help if you do know any other languages. There are lots of records from around the world that need transcribing from other languages. But for now, we're going to go ahead and look at records that are in English. So at this point, there's one batch currently available. That may not seem like very many, but there are new batches being released all the time, and this is the one they are working on right now. So click on Index.
And from here, this attention box pops up. And it says, before indexing these images, please read through all of the project instructions, help fields, and general indexing guidelines, just like we did in the test drive batch that we just finished. So we'll click on OK. And it brings up the same type of screen we just saw. Here's our project instructions. So let's review those for this batch. So it says what to index. Records that are outside of the project date range should still be indexed. So essentially anything that's on the pages that is indexable should be done. Index all census records. Mark all other images in step 1 as images as no extractable data. So sometimes what they're saying is other images will be included in there. So if we're only doing census in this one, if it was some other document that happened to have been photographed at the same time, we would say no extractable data, so that they would know it wasn't to be indexed. The following are examples of documents that should be indexed, as well as examples of how to index each document. To see the examples, click on the links below the images. So just as we saw in the test drive, we have some sample images. So let's click on this first one. And this actually shows the sample image, and they've highlighted with these boxes and numbers each field that you'll need to fill in when you go to index. So the first box says here on the right side is the census county. And in this example, we'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it. It's marked 12, or 1-2 for the county code. And in this indexing project, there's a drop-down box that shows what the name of the county is. So we would go and hit the drop-down and select 12. Box 2 is a district, which is 82, or 02, sorry, as it shows here. Then we scoot over to box 3, which is the household number, and that's 078. Then we go down to index the names that are listed on this census. So all these names would need to be indexed. They're showing just one for an example. So box 4 is the given names, and that in this example is Fatu. And then box 5 is the surname, which is Fanbula. Box 6, and so forth. So if you ever get stuck when you're doing an indexing a record, you can go back to this example and look at it. You'll see that it opened a new tab. You can either leave that up or we can get back to it again from the project instructions box. We'll close that for now. So as we go down the list, there's another example of a census that we might see, a census record. Let's take a look at that one. It looks very similar, just another example. So we'll close that one. And actually, the index or below it, it says how to index a census record. For example, that number 2, it leads you to the same place. Family Search likes to do that a lot to make sure you see whatever way you need to go to find out what you need to know. So these boxes here with the arrows, you can open those up to get more information. The first one says what to remember about this guide or this project. The completed index and images may have restrictions. Many fields in this project have numeric codes. If a code has been crossed out and replaced, select the replaced code from the drop-down list, and so forth. And the last one is General Indexing Guidelines, which again gives a lot of information if you have any questions about any particular fields. So we'll close that one and move on to the actual record. Once again, with these buttons here, we can zoom in, zoom out. If you need to make adjustments, if the image is dark, you can do that. And you can select different reference images. So we'll zoom in. And the first step we need to do is to see, should this be indexed? And it looks like it is a census record from Liberia, so we say yes, and click on Next. So the census county, remember from the example, is right here. That's a 06, so click on the drop down, and that's 06. The district is 02. Click on the drop down, press 02. Then the household ID is over this way, and that's 030. So we'll type that in, 030, and go to the next field. Now we go down to all of the information on the individuals in this record. So the given name for this first person, we'll zoom in a little bit more, is Mamie, M-A-M-I-E. The surname is Coker, C-O-K-E-R. And the relationship, this is the box relationship field, is 01. Once again, there's a drop down here, so we'll click 01, which is the head of the household. Next is this new household identifier. So once we get into that field, we'll see the question mark in the purple circle pulls up. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So we'll look. So it says select yes or no from the drop-down list. Select yes if 01 was written in the pre-relationship column, which we see in the relationship column, it was a 01, so that means this is going to be a yes. If it wasn't a 01, it says select no if any other number was written in the relationship column. And again, it says that if a numeric code was not recorded in the box in the relationship column, press Control B to mark this field blank. So anytime you see a field with an asterisk, it shows that it must be filled in. If there was nothing put in the actual document, then you need to mark that as blank. So this one we saw was a 01, so it's a yes. Sex is in this column here. What is the sex? Which is a 2. And 2 is female. Age is the next column, which is 27. So we'll enter that. And then marital status is another drop down, which is down here. So it says at the top, 10 years and over, what is blank's marital status, which is a 2. So a 2 is married monogamous. Next is the birthplace. So over here in the record, to replace a birth, where was the person born? And that's again is 06, which is Bong County. And then we'll tab over to the next entry. So what we need to do is do each one of these 6 entries. So we'll tab to get to the beginning of the next one, and we see that Family Search has already added 15 blank entries in case there were that many names. So we'll go through the same thing we just did on the previous one. The census county is 06. The district code is 02. The household ID is way over here. 030, and then the given name. So let's scoot down to the given name, which is kind of a little bit hard to read, so we'll zoom in a little bit more. I think it's Abdel, A-B-D-E-L. So we'll put that in there. If you're not sure what it is, give it your best guess, because these records, once they're indexed, are going to be reviewed by other people who will go through the same thing and make sure that it's the right information, or make sure it's the best guess. So just give it your best shot. If there's something there, put down whatever you think it is. So we'll move on to the surname. Now you see now we have a drop-down box here. So what it did is it remembered that we had entered the name Coker from the previous entry. So it gives us that as an option, which is the same here. So we'll enter that. Relationship to head of household. We'll zoom out a little bit so we can see some of these numbers a little bit clearer with the title. The relationship is the next box, is a 02, which is a spouse. New household identifier. Remember that was, if it was a 1, it'd be a yes. So this is a 2, so it's going to be a no. Sex is the next column, which is a 1 for female. Age is the next column, which is 35. And marital status is, over here, it is a 2. Married, monogamous. And birthplace, again, is, over here, it's 56. So I have to scroll down in this drop-down menu to find that. And it's not listed, which is interesting. I'm guessing it should have been a 06, but we will put that as blank because it says 56, and there's no 56 in the drop-down. So to do the blank, you press your Control key and then the B, and it moves on to the next field, the next entry. So we'll go back to that just so you can see it made it a blank. Whenever you reach the bottom of the entry, if you hit Tab, it takes you over to the next entry, which is going to be for this third person. So once again, county code is 06. District code is 02. I'm remembering now that the household is 030. And then we'll go down to the given names, and this is the third entry, so we're on the third person. Another difficult read name. I think it's B-L-A-M-A-H. So we'll put that in there. Once again, it's going to be reviewed. I don't remember now how many times they actually review it, but it's definitely other people are going to look at it, and they're going to take the kind of everybody's best guess. There's a ditto mark here, the 2 slashes, so that means the last name is the same as the previous one, which was Coker. Relationship is a 03, which is son or daughter. New household identifier is going to be a no, because this was not a 1. The sex code is 1, so is a male, and he is 10 years old. And marital status is 1. Never married. And then the birthplace is 06. Citizenship, sorry, there it is. This one next to it is still 06, which was Bong. So tab to get to the next field, and we'll keep on going. So the census code was 0, the county was 06, district was 02, household ID 030. Given name on this one is Mama. And the surname is still Coker. Now relationship to head of household is a 03. New household identifier is going to be a no. Sex is 2 for female. And how old is she? She is 4 years old. Marital status is going to be a 1, never married. Oh, it's blank. Yeah, okay. So 10 years and older, it's blank. So what did it say to do then? I'd forgotten. Marital status. If a numeric code was not recorded, press Control B to mark this field as blank. So we'll do that. Now you'll notice when I was in the marital status box, I left this help field open. And I went to the next field and it stays open. So if you want to leave that open just as a guide, you can do that. So the birthplace was, here's where is it born, down here another 06. And we do tab and move on to the next field. So that's blocking us, so we'll change that. We'll close that. Once again, the county code is going to be 06. District 02, household ID 030, and now we're down to junior. So give a name junior. The surname is again Coker. Relationship to household is 03, son or daughter. New house identifier is going to be a no, and the sex was a 1. That's the number right here. It's a male. And he is 1 year old. Marital status is going to be blank again. So we'll mark that as a control B. Oops, I'm sorry. I forgot to get out of the age one. That's 1. Tab, then control B. You can always go back. If you make a mistake, you can use your mouse to go back or whatever works best for you. Birthplace, again, is 06. For Bong. Tab again, that brings us to field 6. This is down here, this is a new person, but it's the same census county, same district, same household ID, so there's someone else living in the household. The given name looks like Korpo, so we'll put that in there, Corpo. Surname is now Blamah, Blama. It's our best guess. Interesting, which is the same name as this person here. So who could this person be? So relationship to the head of household is a 09, which is an other relative. It's not a new household identifier because it was not a 01. Sex is a 2 for a female. Age is 19. And marital status is a 1. I'm sorry, a blank again. Thank you. I keep getting that one mixed up. So that's going to be another control B for blank because it's under 9. Or no, it's 19. Anyway, birthplace, again, is a 06. Now, that's our last entry, but Family Search still has another 7 or 8 blank entries. So what we need to do, because they all have to be either filled in or deleted if they're blank, we'll go up here to this garbage can, click on that icon, then we're going to delete the blank entries. So you can delete them one at a time, or for easier, you can just delete all the blank entries because we know we've indexed all the information. So click on delete, and there we go. So now we're down to just 6 entries. And you'll see these 2 new boxes have popped up at the bottom. If we made a mistake and there actually was something else on the bottom of this page that we missed, we could create another entry. But we don't have one, so let's submit the batch. Once again, it's going to do that quality control thing, or quality check, and it says no issues were found. Excellent. So that means we could submit our batch. And now we've done it. So thank you. The batch submitted successfully, and we have a shower of confetti.
Good job. So that means at that point you can either go back if you enjoyed that kind of batch and do a similar batch, or you can go back to the main screen and choose a different kind of batch when others become available. But for now, that has walked us all through this first batch, the intro batch, and this first real batch that we indexed for a census from Liberia. So we hope you found this helpful. You will find that the more you do indexing, the more comfortable you will become with it, and we'd like to encourage you to do that. And thanks for watching.